once again, welcome to this session. How to develop and deploy an application with AWS CodeStar. So I'm doing this lab from Cloud Academy. You can sign up for cloudacademy.com, check their pricings with regards to the wide range of resources from courses, hands-on labs, and lab challenges that they offer. So for today's session, I'm going to be taking you through some of the features that come with AWS CodeStar. And when you can see what is here in the introduction, actually it's a complete package for developing and releasing applications. It actually uses some of the low-level services such as AWS Code Commit and also Code Deploy, but also just ensures that you're not having the burden of having to set these services all up. The applications are usually deployed using the EC2 instances, also Elastic Beanstalk, or you can use the serverless option of AWS Lambda. So the template that you choose to base your project upon determines how the project actually is going to be deployed. And CodeStar supports a variety of programming languages. These can be JavaScript, Java, PHP, Python, Ruby, name them. Now for this lab, we're going to be using Node.js, a JavaScript project, and then I'm going to be looking at how are we going to be able to run this lab app. So I've already opened it up. I've already set the environment, the lab environment. So first of all, I'm supposed to go to CodeStar. I'm going to click on Create Project. And then I'm going to look at some of the templates that are available on AWS CodeStar for this step. And then I'll be able to select the drop-down bar under the templates, and I'll check the following boxes in the filter bar. That is EC2 under the AWS services. Under the application category, I'll choose the web application, and under programming languages, I'll choose Node.js. The choice of the application category and the programming language is actually determined by the project and the skills available to you. So, for example, if you're going to be doing something like a different service, for example, you're going to be using Lambda, you choose that as a serverless framework. Then you're going to choose maybe the web application, and maybe you're going to choose a different language, maybe such as Ruby for creating a Ruby application, just as an example. So this may be easy. Some of the guidelines between choosing alternatives are Beanstalk offers a fully managed application environment running on EC2 servers, and this actually allows you to just not focus on setting up on EC2, but focusing on your code. But if you want to manage the applications yourself, including some of the on-premise services, it's better use EC2. And if you want to run a serverless application, obviously choose AWS Lambda. So we'll select the Express.js project template, and then you're going to be entering this. So without moving too far, let me go to CodeStar. I'd already opened, but you can just type CodeStar and you'll find it here. When you open it, you're going to get this. I'm going to click on Create Project. I'll be able to check some of the templates that are there. For example, I can see the Hello World skill for Alexa, an Alexa skill. Hello World is like a Node.js, Python, Go, Node.js, Python, Express.js. So I've been told I can be able to choose EC2. Under the application type, I'll choose web application. You can see we have the Beanstalk and the Lambda for the services. We've already seen some of the options that are there. For the applications type, you can choose a web service, a static website, an Alexa skill, or an AWS config rule. For programming languages, you have a variety: C#, Go, HTML5, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, and Ruby. So for this case, we're choosing Node.js. So once we've done that, this filter has actually reduced the number of options that we have. And according to the lab, we're going to be choosing express.js and we're going to go to next. So here we're supposed to enter details for the project. We're going to check that here. So CA, we're supposed to write CA -app then a unique string. For my case, I usually prefer using the account ID because it's usually easier and more unique. So I just come here, I'll copy my account ID, that, and I'll paste it here. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Project ID accept the default value that is going to come. Instructions in this lab is use CA app as for the project name, but you should use a different name for the project creation we feel it is already in use. So that is the thing. Make sure code commit is under project repository. This is selected under the project repository. You can either use code commit or you can use GitHub, which is a popular source repository. So use code commit for our case. You'll see the EC2 configuration section, which you're going to be using t2.micro. VPC, you select the non-default with the VPC with only 2 subnets if there's no default label. So we're going to choose the VPC, that is the virtual private cloud, which is a logical personal space within AWS cloud. Then I'm going to use, in terms of the subnet, we're going to use the subnet that is in US West 2A. Okay, so let's do this. It's code commit, find t2.micro. This one is default, so you choose the non-default one. Remember, you're using US West 2A for the subnet. So US West 2A, it is at 2B, so just go to 2A. Keep it, I think it's going to be that one. And go to next. I think I'm supposed now to create the project. Yes, then I create the project. Oh, sorry, not share my screen. Let me share my whole screen. So this is what I was doing. I was talking about the AWS CodeStar. On the first step, I said you can be able to search CodeStar on your space. So for example, this is what I did. I came here and searched CodeStar and I got to it. In terms of this, I was able to do a filter according to the AWS services, application category, and the programming languages, the 3. So once I did the filter, the 3 filters here, I was able to get Node.js and Express.js. So for Express.js is what I chose as per the lab. Then for CA app, I needed to put the project name as CA Cloud Academy -app a unique string. As I said, the account ID is usually quite unique, so you can just choose that. So for example, here, when you come here and you choose your account ID and copy it, you can use it. For example, you can see this my account ID is the one that is also here, and you can see the project is now provisioning. AWS code says setting up your project resources. This may take a few minutes. So I'm being told that. So I did the steps. So I'll go back to the steps that I did. I put the project name and the project ID. I chose the project repository to be code commit and not GitHub. After that, I chose the EC2 configuration, t2.micro, which is the default value, the non-default VPC, which was the one that was not having the default label. And then I chose a subnet that was in the US West 2A availability zone. So I've clicked on create project. So I'll start a check here. So it will check that I've done that on their end. And you can see that I've already done that. Then I'll click on to the next step. Let us check whether the provisioning is completed. It's still going on. So let's look at the next step. The AWS Management Console in search bar, enter, I'll type EC2. I'll see the available instances there, and I'll be able to check for an instance named Cloud Academy Labs. I'll connect to it using EC2 Instance Connect. In the username text box, I'll choose EC2 user, and then I'll open a browser-based shell by clicking connect. Then I'll confirm that this has already been done. So let's do this step. So I'll type EC2 here. EC2. Sorry. So I can see the project has already been provisioned, which is fine. It's very good. Let's go to EC2. We're going to choose for the EC2 instance that has the name Cloud Academy Labs. Let it load. So I've gone to the instances. I can see the instance written Cloud Academy Labs. I think it must be this one. I'll select it and I'll choose connect. I'll use EC2 instance connect. The username, I'll use EC2 user. Then I'll click on connect. So it will open a browser-based shell to the EC2 instance. So once it does that, let it establish the connection. So the connection has been established. We are on the prompt, the terminal prompt. So I'm trying to keep the window open. We're going to use it in the other steps. So I return to CodeStar and observe the tiles that are included in our dashboard. So I'll be able to see something called the IDE. That is, it references how to get started with a variety of IDEs and access your under access your project code. You simply use the EC2 instance to edit the code, interact with code commit in this lab. So we're going to also use a repository, which is the code commit repository. You can see the main details here. You can see it is AWS code commit. The commit ID is that, the initial code commit. That is this view commit. When you click on the view commit, it's going to be given a detailed list. You can be able to see some of the details and also going to see the pipeline. So the graphical representation of the release pipeline. And then under monitoring, we will see the CPU utilization and other metrics of the EC2 instance where your application is deployed. Click view application under the right view and see the application, to view the application included in the template. So let's do that step. I don't know whether there's anything else left in this step. So let's do that first before we go on. Look at the project resources. I'll be able to see under under the tab under the overview. So you'll be able to see some of the resources created with the project template. And then you'll realize that AWS CodeStar actually saved us a lot of time with regards to manually configuring everything that is included. That also give it to notice that the AWS CloudFormation includes a Stack resource. So that is how actually CodeStar works. It uses the CloudFormation, and each project template creates a stack in AWS called CloudFormation. And again, obviously don't need to know any details about it because AWS CodeStar does actually set up everything for you so that you can just focus on developing. So if you need to delete an AWS CodeStar, you can do so from the CodeStar project page, given a choice of keeping the associated resources or also deleting the associated resources. So also remember that when you're deleting these projects, it's very important. Maybe if you don't need the resources, you also delete them because they will also kind of incur the costs of running those resources as they run even when the project has been deleted. So let's do this step. So you're supposed to go to the dashboard. So I'll actually have to open it somewhere else. So the good thing that the EC2 Instance Connect is here. So I can just go to CodeStar here, back here. I've seen this shortcut in here. So I just go to CodeStar there under my favorites. So I'll go to projects on this left panel. So I can click on this tile. So under the overview, I can see the project activity, the pipeline succeeded. If I click on the pipeline, I'll be able to get a visual representation. As you can see, I can see the metrics from CloudWatch on the CPU utilization for that exact application. So maybe if I decide to say 1 hour, I don't know if I'm going to get something. Okay, so it hasn't gotten any data yet. I can see some of the resources. I can see there is IAM resource that is a role for the CodeStar worker for CloudFormation. I can see also another role for the CodeStar worker. This is the CloudFormation. This is a role for CloudFormation. This is a role for toolchain. These are this is a policy. You can see this is a policy, an IAM policy for permissions boundary. I can see this is also another IAM role for the CodeStar worker called the web app. And I can also see I also have another resource for code pipeline. I can see that. I have also another resource for code deploy. The deployment, all these have been done on your behalf by AWS CodeStar. Then you have also AWS Code Deploy, AWS Code Commit, Code Build. Also, we have now the CloudFormation itself, the stack. We have 2 stacks here. So you can see there are 2 stacks there. I can see S3 bucket, also an EC2 instance. So all those are all the project resources that are being utilized. Okay, what else? We are supposed to do what? We're also supposed to view. I think the IDE was to help you know some of the IDs you can use. You can choose a Cloud9 environment to access. Under repository, you're supposed to see the repository itself, the details, some of the most recent commits. So if I click on the I click on view commits, I'll be able to see that it was the initial commit by AWS code commit, which was done 11 minutes ago. I can just see that. If I go back, let me go back to the app itself. I can see, I can see the documents, the files for the code, and all that. So this is under code commit. You can see that. If I go back to CodeStar, so if go back to the tile, without spending too much time, I think we have done all that was required. This somewhere we the upper right, view the application. So I need to go to view application so that you can see how it looks like. So here it is, view application, and you can see how it looks. That is, it looks a bit brighter than the one that is here. This is the Node.js, Node Express web application. So if I go back under pipeline, you should be able to get that visual representation. I think I didn't show you that. It's this pipeline. So it will take me directly to code pipeline. Do you see that? I've just moved away from CodeStar, gone to code pipeline, and I'm able to now see exactly this. So under the developer tools, these are the developer tools usually have the pipeline, which is really good because you're talking about CI/CD, you're talking about continuous integration, continuous deployment. So you should be able to see how your pipeline looks like. So you can even kind of disable a transition when you're transitioning from the source code to the building and to even to the deployment. Yeah, so you can see it. All of these, you can be able to see that, get a notification whether it succeeded or not. Okay. This one looks darker. I don't know why ours looks funny. Okay. It's like a Twitter kind of thing. This one has made Twitter-like. Doesn't look exactly the same as this one, but it's fine. Okay, so we go to the next step. I don't think we have much time on our left on our lab. And we still have some 5, 6, we have some steps to go. So I'll go to IAM, and then I'll go to users. I'll click on the students, I'll click on the security credentials. I'll scroll down to HTTPS Git credentials, I'll click generate, I'll download the credentials. I'll use the credentials to connect to the AWS CodeStar repository. And then I'll return to the AWS CodeStar repository and click under HTTPS under clone. I'll copy the URL, and I'll paste the repository into a file, into the file with your code repository. With your code repository, use this URL later to access. Then return to the SSH dev instance and CD to ensure you are in your home repository. I'll CD to home EC2 user. And then I'll tell Git to cache my credentials. I'll use that code. And then I'll tell Git my username. I'll tell Git my repository URL. Then I'll put the password. I'll paste the password and then change the repository directory name to CA app. Change CA app unique string to the name of your repository. Yeah. Okay. It's quite a lot. So let's do a bit of it. So let's start with IAM. And a user can go directly to user so that I save on time. Okay, so I look at the student. You realize my style of doing the lab is I look at the whole step, then I try to do it from my mind. That usually really helps you to internalize exactly what you're doing. So that is usually a very good practice when you're doing some of these labs. So I'll go to security credentials. If I get stuck at any time, I can refer back, which you can also do. HTTPS git credentials. This is where I'm generating the credentials for code commit. And then I'll download the credentials. I'll open it up so that I can use it later. And then I'll go back to where? To code commit. I think to code commit. It's called commit of CodeStar. Just confirm. So if I generate and download, I'll go to the CodeStar. Yeah, CodeStar. I'll get that. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to CodeStar. Okay. So under our projects, let's open to our project. Still there. Go back and see whether I'm going to get it on the history. So it is here. I don't know, it was disappearing on the other side, but it is. So I'm supposed to go to repository. Then I choose clone repository HTTPS. I'll copy that and then I'll paste it. Yeah. Yeah. Done that. So once I've done that, I'll go back to the EC2 instance connect. Directory first, which means I'm good. I'm under the exact directory that I want. And then I'll have to run some commands that are here. Say to get to cache my credentials for a few hours. So I'll copy that and I'll paste it here and do that. Again, I'll also tell get my username under that EC2. Again, I'll also do a git clone, but I'll actually change the repository URL. I'll change the repository URL. We have it. Yeah. Go to, I didn't minimize. Okay, I'll do that. So I'll still use the password. Copy it. Yeah. Copy it and paste it onto the. So obviously you already know that the username is student. Instead the password. Enable to access. So let's look at the, did I really paste it right? Okay, oh yeah, this is the username. Username was not student, but something else. So what I'll do, I'll first run this code. Let us copy this. Then get the username. Then I'll get the password. gotten it. It has worked. Gotten everything there. Hey, what is the next step? So after that, I'll change the repository to CA app. Good. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So I'll remove this renewing process. Obviously, this is what we have. Remember, this is what you're doing locally. So it's not going to affect the name of the repository on the code repository on code commit. Okay, I have done that. I'll cd to it. And then cd LLS to get the overview of the structure. Be able to see that there is an app.js, which is the JS file that serves the server. I have a configuration file called appspec. The YAML is a YAML file. We have a JSON file which has the metadata and the dependencies. You have the README file which explains the template, and also you have the public and also the scripts, which are the static classes and also the scripts to be executed. Install the project's repository dependencies using Node Package Manager and start with Node.js. So I'll do this. So after I do what? Redo the ls so that we see what we've been told. There they are. Then I'll run npm install, which will do something like that. And then I'll do npm node app.js. And about the deprecated, it might be something about updates. So once I've done that, what's next for us? Look at the navigate to the instances in the EC2 service. So the instance, in the description, you see a field called public DNS. Copy the public DNS. Open the browser and append 3000 and press enter. Okay, for us to just get it from the Cloud Academy Labs, which is fine. Let's do that. Let's run to EC2. Go to the we're now going to go to the instances. And now using the Cloud Academy Labs, so we are going to select that. And then we're going to look at the DNS, which is this one. I'll copy that. Then I'll append 3000, the port 3000. I'm supposed to get the same web application, which is here. Yes, but I don't know why they put it into right, but it's exactly the same. So we've been able to do that. We've been able to run the application from the other EC2 instance. So we've done that. So we've gotten that. On the development machine, you can make some code changes, return to the SSH shell and press Ctrl+C to kill the Node.js server, the running. Enter the following command line command to the shell prompt to update the file. Let's change that. So what is this? It's actually going to increase the index, going to change the class names, and that sort. Is going to change something regards to changing the body, the refresh rate, something like that. Let's just do this line in the EC2 instance connect. Let's first of all kill the app, then run the code, press enter. Okay. View the local repository status, running git status. Okay, you can see it shows that it has been modified, which actually shows that it has been modified. Since there are some untracked files such as node modules, which is not going to be part of the commit. Add the modified file to the save changes in the commit. I'll add the exact file. I'll stage it. So if you're not familiar with Git, it's very important to just ensure that you get the basics right. Now I'm going to commit the animation with the message animation. Also, it's an animation. Okay. After that, what else? So I'm going to do a git push so that it's going to go to our CodeStar, to go to AWS CodeStar. It has done that. So you're going to see how those changes are going to be deployed. Wow, how many minutes do you have? 21 minutes. I think I'm going to finish this 2 steps. So deploying. So I'll go to CodeStar. So there's something we'll see. Recent under the pipeline, I'm going to see the most recent commit tile. Tile is going to appear. To inspect the code, I'll be able to see that the commit ID might be different. I'll be able to see the code changes, the exact ones that we ran using the multi-line command. Then I'm going to the pipeline, I'm going to see some changes, some most recent changes. And then I'm going to see the deployment. Click the name of your deployment group, beginning with CNAME app. So let's start with a repository tab. Hopefully this is not going to disappear. This time we're going to see the projects. Yes. So I'm going to go to repository. You can see the commit is just 2 minutes ago. As the commit ID. If I click on this commit ID to get more details, I'll be able to see that you can see the messages animation exactly as we did it. And you can see the code change that happened. Basically that. Okay. What are the next thing? Go to the pipeline tab and see the deployment. Click on AWS code deploy, under deploy. So we're going to go to the pipelines. So we're going to go back Hope you're learning something. So go to the pipeline. I can see this how it looks, the visual representation. If I go to AWS code deploy. Okay, so this one, do you see what is happening here? So it has just finished the change set. That's just succeeded just now. It has executed that change set, which is in progress. So under code deploy, do you see code deploy is still not yet in green? It is still under the deployment. You can see AWS code deploy hasn't run. It hasn't run yet. But we are expected that once it runs, we'll be able to see succeeded. And then you're going to see the deployment groups. And then we're going to click on the name of our deployment. So realize that when you see the default rollback enabled is false. So anytime the deployment becomes unsuccessful, it will not attempt to deploy the last successful version. So you might need to change that when you're deploying your projects on AWS CodeStar. This is what I'm saying here. So scroll down to the page and inspect the deployment group deployment history. Each deployment that was attempted and deployed is recorded here along with a link of the artifacts are located on Amazon S3. Click on the most recent deployment ID. Your deployment will have a different deployment ID. Again, we see the deployment status, deployment details, revision details, deployment lifecycle events, and you can be able to look at the events. If you can be able to see the events, I'll be able to see all these in a list. You'll see the events similar to above. That is the application stop, download bundle, before install, after install, application start, and validate service. Let's go back so that you don't read so many steps and haven't done them. So let's go back and see. Maybe you can see now it has finished just now. I go to AWS code deploy. We have that deployment groups. You're supposed to click on the one that has CA app, which is this one. We also need to go to the deployment ID. So you can say rollback enabled is false. So you can enable that. You can just edit for your, but since I'm not supposed to do that in this lab, let me just show you. So one at a time. Rollback, so you can see, and just untick that and say rollback when a deployment fails and just switch that. So let me just discard those changes since I'm not supposed to do that in this lab. So you have this deployment ID. I can see it succeeded together with the artifacts stored in an S3 bucket. So I can see this. When I look at this, if I look at this, something that I was supposed to click on the view events, so I can see is the events. So if I click on view events, I click on view events. What do you see here? Do you see that? Validate what? You'll be able to see, you see this is exactly what we saw on that other side. Okay. Finally, return to AWS CodeStar, click view, you see the latest version of the application, including the end deployed and available to the world. So, nice. So we need to look at what happened. What did we really do? So this is the one. This is the last. Let me just refresh this and see whether there's something just happened. Oh, nice. This is the animation. And that is happening also on this side. Oh, we killed the app. So let me just do this. Let me refresh. Same case. See, doing their own kind of thing. Good, good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good. Seems we are good coders, developers as per this lab. In this lab set, we follow the release pipeline. You looked at how you learned how to track changes in the project code repository. So the configuration, also learned how to diagnose issues if a deployment fails. Okay. There's a lot to do in this step. I don't know why. Managing your AWS CodeStar project team. How many minutes? 12 minutes. Okay. So return to AWS and click on add team members. Projects overview. Let's go to the projects overview. Then in the user, click on login. So the team members value, test, email, address to be that. Role will be the contributor. Remote access checked. So the project roles can be viewer, access their project dashboard, and are able to view a project's resources. You have the contributor, everything viewer can access, plus view, modify, and access all the project repository resources. Owner is everything the contributor can do, plus adding and removing team members and deleting the project. So that is how the project roles work from viewer up until the owner. So I'll click on add. After adding a team member, it's best to create a profile for yourself. So let us do this so that you don't move too far without having done it. I need to go to overview. I think it's under team. You can see team on this side. Wow. You jumped a certain step. Let me just look at this. Let's go to this here. I need to choose login. Login. What else was I supposed to do for login? Just academic contributor and checked. Post contributor, and then I'll check that. Then I'll add team member. I think I'm supposed to add a profile for myself, which I'm going to be taken. And I'm supposed to do what? I need to put my email as student. And then I'll create after you do that, add a team member and select Basi. Basi, and I'll give viewer. unchecked. This is email is what. And unchecked member. So we need to now enjoy the different roles. So I'm running out of time. How much time do I have? 7 minutes. Wow. Don't think I'll be able to do all this, but I'll be able to do that. Let's see. Okay. An environment. I don't think that I need the viewer. Click this. Login contributor 1. Contribute to this. Login. Click repository commit ID. And navigate to AWS CodeStar. So we go to CodeStar. Save the password. CodeStar repository commit ID, and then I release change. I know the viewer cannot do that. So projects. Now if I'll be able to have enough time to finish it because of this loading. Let's see whether I'll be able to release the change under login. Repository. Maybe explaining it made it a bit longer. So basic cannot release commit ID. Return to the project pipeline and choose release change. So I can view obviously as a contributor. So go to pipeline and then I'll choose release change. Release. So I can see it is already doing that. Good. Let's see in progress. Click on the team. And I'll choose that. Delete. 4 minutes, I think I'll finish it. I'll go to settings, delete project. Good. Delete project, and then I'll delete that, and then I'll delete. Good. So I think I'll finish it in time. So I can see, oh wow, when I was reload, I was signed out to the moment I logged in as login. So So I need to sign out. We can just do this very fast on the other side. That is a good Node.js app. I need to just do this in environment. Then I'll now choose student, and then I'll go to CodeStar to delete. Then I'll choose that. Then I'll sign in and go to CodeStar to delete the project. Am I supposed to delete together the resources? Yes, I'll need to delete together the resources. I can see that checked here. And then I'll click on submit code. Start. Wow, that was quite hell of a lab. 2 minutes to go. So projects, CodeStar is interesting, quite interesting to use, especially when you're using it together with your, also even your GitHub repository. So I'll go to selecting it, and I'll delete the project. I'll click delete, and I'll click delete. Submit. Wow. Done. Thank you. So that was the lab. In that lab, we were able to log into the AWS console. We created an AWS CodeStar project. We connected to another virtual machine called Cloud Academy Labs using EC2 Instance Connect. From there, we actually did some local cloning of the Node.js code, and then we did some changes to it, and then committed it back to the project. Then it went through the pipeline. We looked at the project website on CodeStar. Then we actually developed, and then we deployed, and then we also looked at what we call the CodeStar project team, and we looked at different roles of the viewer, the contributor, as well as the owner. So that is good. That is good. So I've been able to add something to my skills. In terms of development, which is quite fun. So later on, we're going to look at some of the other labs that are there, the intermediate labs. But again, until next time, thank you so much for joining me on this lab. I hope it was as fulfilling as you. See me when I see you next time. Thank you so much.